Chris, we're glad to have you on today.
Well, first off, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
One of the things that I would like to ask you, what is your favorite coaching tip that you would like to pass on to any of your future clients?
I always tell people to maintain your touch of class. You know, have a touch of class element in everything that you do. Say please. All the things we learned as children that our parents instilled on us, just to be respectful, kind, love your fellow neighbor, and have a touch of class in everything that you do. And the outcome from that will always be your mark of excellence.
What we would like to hear from you is your story about why you became a coach. And we want to know if it's part of who you are or if there was a certain experience that brought you to it.
To answer your question, I think it would be more of an experience, because I hadn't known that the coaching field was even a thing up until about 2015. I had spent 7 years being a consultant and telling people what to do. As you know, as a coach, you're asking people questions or guided questions. So I was consulting all the way up until New York City. I was doing a project on Wall Street, and it got cut for budgeting. So I was out of a job. Nothing was going on, and I decided to just go back into sales and go back into consulting and try to find something easy. And it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't satisfying. I was coming home from work every day just in a bad mood, as most people do. We all just get angry. So I got a call from a recruiting firm out of nowhere, and they said, look, we understand you know technology, you know how to build websites, you know how to do all these things. Would you like to be an IT recruiter? Sure. All right. I could be an IT recruiter, but I got to be honest, the reason I took that position, because I had no idea what it was, but I took it because I was angry. I was so mad that nobody was calling me, and I was reaching out to everybody, and we've all heard the term ghosting, right? There's got to be a feeling of there's families attached to the other end of these emails and phones, and you can't do that to people. And within the first couple months, I started really helping people out and getting them the jobs that they really wanted, instead of these contract roles that were sucking the life out of them for 5 months. I decided to put them into something that was more tangible, that was more aligned with what they wanted to do. So I really started making a push for that, and that's when it became in my blood. And then I was promoted to an account manager of multiple accounts, and then they positioned me as a client partner. And to this day, I don't know what a client partner does. I looked it up everywhere. I don't know what a client partner does. But I got to see a different side of staffing and talent acquisition that really helped me to gauge and identify what people's fall-offs are in their resumes and things like that. So then I decided to try the business development side of things. And it was really when I started getting into the account management that I decided, wow, consulting and coaching isn't too much different. The approach is different. So I know sometimes it gets problematic where you want to tell somebody what to do and say, I know where you're at. I know where you need to go. Here's what you need to do. You kind of have to take that consultant hat off and put the coach hat on and say, well, what would happen if you did this? Or have you thought about doing this? So for me, it was definitely an experience that we lost our home. We were homeless with 2 little kids. And I said, this is not my end.
I love how you said that it's in your blood, man. I mean, I think me and Linda can definitely, relate with that. That's something that's with us. And you really did a good job painting the difference between a consultant and a coach. And Coaching Hub, even though we're called Coaching Hub, we also want consultants, and we do know the difference. And I'm like you, I'm a hybrid where I'm coming from a lot of telling people what to do, how to build businesses, and here's A through Z exactly what to follow, to now it's like, okay, now I got to pull it out of you, and you're like sitting there, oh man, like I just want to give you the answer. So I break the rules as a coach sometimes. I'm like, look, let me just tell you, save you the time, just go implement it your way. Now that's great, man. So what kind of coaching specifically do you provide? And if you don't mind giving us just a high-level view of your process of how you go about making it happen.
Sure, absolutely. And I created what I call the CDLC, or the Coach's Delivery Lifecycle. I took a lot of the project management methodology, specifically Scrum and Agile, that I had done in my consulting past, and then I took some of my military training and the accountability that I learned in the Navy, and then married that with some staffing practices or best practices around resume building, itemizing, how to get past the ATS and things like that. and I put them into the marriage of the coaching delivery lifecycle. So it's a 6-week overview where we break it up into 3 phases. The first phase is preparation and getting yourself really prepared in understanding who you are and what you want. And then the second phase, which is another 2 weeks of this program, we call it implementation. And that's where we take every little piece of design and we start putting actions around it. And then once we get past there, into that rolls out to deployment. And deployment is nothing more than just that. It's just sending it out there and marketing yourself at the top tier excellence level.
What I love is just how that just rolls right off the tip of your tongue, man. And I love when people take complex things and simplify it like that. So, the follow-up question, if that system is the ship, right? The ship, the vessel that gets people to a point, what is the destination? What is the ultimate destination for them? And how do you know that they reached it?
So by utilizing the CDLC framework, we can pick that up and drop it into healthcare. We could drop it into IT project management. We could drop it into almost any industry that there is. But the destination is completely on them. So whether that's to be an AVP in finance in 3 years, totally different destination than I had. I just wanted to get back to work to make sure that my kids were fed and I had a roof over my home. So we take this destination that they have and work backwards. Once they reach that, they'll know immediately once they reach it because they've now seen an increase in their notoriety. They've seen an increase in engagement with targeted and strategic people within the industry they want to be in. And ultimately, they've either gotten the job that they want or they've got multiple interviews in positions and companies that they specifically target. Get you to peace first, and then we'll get you to happiness. Because, you have to get to one. You need financial solvency if you're out of work before you can attain that monstrous happiness goal. They're really things that dive deep within them. And that's the best reward, is when they recognize that they had some type of fall off or something that they didn't necessarily know they had a talent within them, and then they pull it out. That's just the best reward ever.
Question I have for you, and so we like to ask the critical questions, but what kind of client are you the wrong coach for? And then on the flip side, who makes your best ideal client and someone that you really want to work with?
The wrong kind of client for me, I would definitely say, is someone that doesn't want to take the actions. There's a lot of people that I'm sure we've all met over the years that want to be that aforementioned AVP, but they don't necessarily want to take the steps there. And why do they not want to take the steps there? Mainly because they're afraid of success, or they're afraid that they've never put it in their head, what does that look like to become an AVP in the company of their choice? So that's a lot of those barriers and those speed bumps that you see other coaches talking about are real, and they're true, because every single one of us, even as coaches, we have to go through our own programs when we get certified, and we have to do all these markers to do that. So people that aren't ready to ask themselves the hard questions, aren't really ready to dive deep, those are the people I not necessarily am the best coach for, because I'm very positive, I'm very upbeat, I'm always offering congratulations for every little thing just to keep the momentum driving forward. You may have seen on LinkedIn, I always use the hashtag forward because I believe in that. The people that hold their passion, the people that hold the commitment, that can-do attitude, and people that are really ready to dive into themselves, because you're going to have to stare at yourself in the mirror. And you're going to have to ask those questions and provide answers. And I tell people to do that sometimes. Stare yourself in the mirror, because we're our own worst critics, right? You stare at yourself in the mirror and you can point out 15, 20 different things that you don't like and be miserable, and it can travel you into depression. Don't let it.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to be on the call with us.
My pleasure.
Best way for people to reach you?
Best way is to either contact me by phone, which is all over LinkedIn. It's on my website, or you can email me at Christopher@invisiscope.com.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much.